pretty commonly used for a few cases. The modulus operator, let me just set this up here. The modulus operator it's very simple. It returns you the remainder of a division operation. So if you divide like 7 by 2, what's the remainder? 1. If you divide like 3 by 4, what's the remainder? 3, right? So it gives you the remainder, but not only that, but it does a couple of really neat things. One, it lets you can use modulus to determine whether a number is even or odd. So it's a really fast way to do coin flips. So you can do like really easy, like, hey, should I do this decision or this other decision, or hey, literally flip a coin. But another really cool thing about modulus is that if you say, let's say you want something to like, let's say you have a trap in Legend of Zelda, and let's say the trap looks, oh my god, I'm going to do paint. Can you guys see this? Make sure I'm recording this. Okay.
Some heavy software right there.
I know, right? Let's say you have a trap that has 4 panels in it, right? And this trap here has fire that comes out, and it starts off here, goes to here, goes to here, and then goes to here. Okay? And what's cool is that if you want to, let's just say you know that you want fire to be active on pit 1. So and if you're standing on this platform, you'll die, and then it goes to platform 2 and 3 and 4. So it goes in that order. You can use the modulus operator to make it very easy on yourself to figure out which one of these platforms to fire it on, given any number. So you can plug in any number like 237 and figure out which one of these platforms to spawn it on. And I already screwed up, and these should be 0, 1, 2, 3. 0. Oh my god. What happened to my brush? I do not use paint. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3. If I gave you the number 237 and told you, hey, find out which one of these platforms to spawn it on, well, the easiest thing you can do is do the modulus operator. So what is 237 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4? 59. And what's the remainder here? 0.25? A quarter of 1. So the remainder here, the remainder here is 1/4 of 1, or 1 over 4. So the amount left here, what did I do? 237 divided by 4. So how many times does 4 go into 237? 59 times? What is 59 times 4? Yeah.
Why would it be 4 and not 3?
Why would it be 4 and not 3? Because I want to know, let's just say here, if you have the number 4, I have 4 possible options here. That's the main reason why, is because I have 4 platforms, and that's how many things I actually care about. So if you had 0, right, so let's just do 3. I'll just do 0, 1, 2, 3. Can you give me the modulo result? Can you give me the remainder results of these divided by 3? What is 0 divided by 3? What is the remainder? 0. What is 1 divided by 3? 2. What is the remainder of 0? Or what is the remainder of 1 divided by 3? How much is left over? How many times does 0 go into 1? How many times does 3 go into 1? 0 times, right?
0.
And then what's left over? 1. How many times does 3 go into 2? 0 times. Yep, and then what's left over? 2. How many times does 3 go into 3? 1 time. And then what's left over? Nothing. Okay, what about 4? How many times 3 go into 4?
1.
And then what's left over?
1.
Okay, and 5. You can see a pattern here, right? So this is the relationship between, you go, no matter what number you type in, what's 237 here? How many times does 3 go into 237?
59.25.
No, that's
4.
79 times. What's the remainder? 0. So I just took this really big number, 237, and I converted it into a range between 0 and 2. Okay. Which means if I do the same thing with 4, let's just do the same exercise with 4, since now we're started on this track. Sorry, paint is garbage. It's filthy casual garbage. So what is 0 modulo 4? What is 1 modulo 4?
0. Well, yeah.
Nope.
1, right?
Yep, 1. I say modulo, but I just what I just said is divide it and then give me what's left over. So what is 1 modulo 4? It's 1. What is 2 modulo 4? 3. What is 4 modulo 4?
0.
5 modulo 4. 237 modulo 4.
2.
How many times does
59. Yeah.
how many times does 4 go into 237? 59 times, right?
With the remainder of 25.
Well, 59 times 4. So it goes in 59 times, and then what's left over from that operation?
25.
1 is left over. The amount,
The total remainder.
yeah, total remainder is 1.
So you do want to get a value up to 3, and since 3 divided by anything would be a whole number, or couldn't give you more than that, 4, you would want to do.
Yeah, the modulus is not really explicitly like give me the fraction. It's give me the remainder. Give me what's left over after I've divided it as many times as I possibly can. So 237 modulo 4, 4 can be 4 goes into 237 59 times,
Yeah.
and then there's 1 left over, right? What about 5,302? That number. I want that number to point to one of these 4 fire platforms.
Got it.
Okay, which one of those 4 fire platforms should it go on?
Didn't tell you.
53247 divided by 4. Good guess. It's 3, because it goes in 13,311 times. 13,311 times 4. So what's 53247 minus 53244? 3. So it'll pick platform 3. And why is this important? This is the easiest way. It's not just fire platforms, but it's like anything, like intervals. Like you want to just have it cycle between 0, 1, 2, and 3. Just cycle, go from one to the next to the other one, and then repeat. But
So is this for like a random input?
this is for like not just a random input, but this number, if you just take a number, you just add 1 to it every time. And just keep adding 1 to it, and you don't care what it goes to. You just keep adding 1. If you use modulo, it'll always give you a range between 0 and that number. So it'll basically transform any number. It doesn't matter what it is. It'll transform that number to be within a range that you want. So in this case, I have 4 fire platforms. Maybe I want to drive like 6 spike traps, right? So I have like 6 spike traps, right? And I just want it to go activate each spike trap in turn over time. And I have like, I just have a number that I'm just increasing over and over again.
Why did you use 8?
That's not 8, that's 5. That's just because my
Your mouse stuck or something?
this thing is bad. 0, 1, 2, 3.
I was like
So
Math is all wrong.
so kind of like what you guys just did. You hit a key to increase a number, right? But you can use that number in meaningful ways if you take this modulo. If you take this modulo 5 or modulo 6 in this case, actually, because there's 6 spike traps, it'll transform any number that you have to one of these spike traps that should be activated. What do we use this for? Trying to think of a good example. It's useful in materials in Unreal a lot. Like you want to do waves or you want to do patterns. You can do modulo. You can basically take any number and plug it in, and it'll basically convert it to this range, which is really nice and convenient. And then also, if you take the simple example of heads or tails, if I gave you that one, maybe that number, you could just translate this number into heads or tails by just taking this and doing a modulo 2. That's the modulus operator. Percent sign is modulo. So when you go here, you can take this. This is modulo. That's what percent is right there. Okay. So let me just show you an example of how this works. So I'm just going to on tick. I'm going to use my health variable here and I'm just going to add to the health variable. I'm actually going to convert. I'm just going to delete all this. I'm going to make health a float, because you guys all use floats, I think, for your math. So I have health. It starts at 1. And I'm just going to take health, and I'm just going to add this to it. So I'm going to take health. I'm going to add a number to it. So in this case, I could add 1, which I'll do in this case. I'll just add 1 to it, and I'm just going to print it out to the screen. Okay.
The first node you placed, that's game time tick.
This is how much time has passed since the last frame that was rendered.
So if you would have added that one to health, it would have gone exponentially.
It would have gone, every second, it would have gone up 1. I'll show you that in just a second. So that's going up way faster than a second, 1 per second. If I instead, could you guys see that? Climbing up 0 to like 100 really fast. If I instead plugged in this guy here, it'll go up 1 per second.
Okay.
Those are all fractions of a second.
Yep, those are all fractions of a second that all accumulate at a rate of 1 per second.
And it's only adding in that fraction of a second since the last one, not since the
Yep.
entire game has started.
Yep, this is just like what you guys just did. Instead of putting 1 here, I just plugged in this guy here. You have that option. I'm gonna keep it at 1 here just to prove what it actually prints out. So watch what it's printing out, all those numbers. But what I can do is I can take the modulo of this, instead of printing out that. So what do we say? 4 spike traps, or 4 flame pit traps, right? So what I would expect is to show 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going a little too fast. How do I do this? Okay, there you go. You guys can see that there. Can you see it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3? But the numbers that it's actually printing out, it's actually adding up to infinity, towards infinity. But it's converting the numbers that I type in into the range that I put in here. Right? So if I want to, I could do 50 here. And it'll go start at 0, go up to 50, and then reset back to 50.
49, right?
Or yeah, go up to 49. Yes, you're right. And go back to 0. Okay. Modules are kind of an interesting thing. Not a lot of people use it, but it's super useful in a few cases. Okay, so let's do, with the time that we have remaining, let's do a little bit more blueprint work. Let's do a pickup. Let's do a gold pickup. And then let's have a merchant dude that you can spend money at. And ultimately, I'd like to have him restore my health, so he'll be an innkeeper guy. But for now, let's...
Make it a hot dog vending machine.
Oh yeah, let's make him something that you spend gold and he spits out like a physics hot dog at you every time. Every time you collect gold will spawn randomly from the sky. You can pick it up and then you can spend it on this vending machine and will spit out hot dogs at you. You guys,
There's hot dog vending machines in Japan. They're so badass.
everything in Japan is pretty awesome. Actually, like
Yeah,
the hot drink vending machines are really cool.
What they also like use that nowhere vending machines. That one's not as cool.
Yeah, it depends on your taste, I guess.
You're like iPhone.
No, I don't. I'm not a fan of that one. The used underwear, nah, good. So I kind of want you guys to follow along because this is using stuff that you guys all already know. I'm going to add one new component, which is we're finally going to communicate across blueprints a little bit. So we're going to figure out how to take gold away from the player and give it to the vending machine, and vice versa. We're going to be able to give gold to the player, and then when he picks up an object. Okay. So this is going to be the first step in it, and then I'm going to get into more of the Angry Birds stuff next week, because we're going to need some of this information to, like things like in Angry Birds, you have a limited number of ammo per level. You also have like a number of pigs you need to kill per level, plus score. You gain score as you kill birds and as you kill enemies. So this is going to be the first foray into that. So what I want to do is I want to first explain a little bit about where variables live. We talked about Pokemon, right? Pokemon have name, they have type, they have HP, but each Pokemon has their own set of variables. Each Pokemon has their own HP. Each Pokemon has their own type. Those are specific to the Pokemon. Then you have some things which are specific to the player, like what items they have. What Pokemon are they currently equipping? Same in Skyrim, like what level are you? How much gold do you have, right? And then there are some things that are above the player that are kind of global, like what quest are you on? How many dragons have been slain so far? Things that aren't necessarily tied to the player, where if you think like an MMO, right? Let's imagine there was a multiplayer version of Skyrim, but there's no mod for Skyrim yet for multiplayer, right?
I don't think so.
No?
Well,
There's an Elder Scrolls MMO, okay, which is completely different because it's not even made by Bethesda, and it sucks. Let's just imagine Skyrim had multiplayer in it, and all of us are playing in the same game together. We're all Dovahkiin somehow, and we all have our own inventory. But then there are things that are global across the game, right? Like I just said, like what dragons are currently alive. What other things would be global? Give me an example of something that affects all of us at the same time. NPCs, time of day, right? Yeah. That's another one, like what time of day it is. So let's pick time of day because that's a good one. That time of day is available to everyone. So we kind of have to pick. I have dry erase markers, but I'm going to use pink because I have it open right now. So we're all playing Skyrim right now, and this is the Dovahkiin. You like that? You like what I'm doing here? So we're all. This is the best I can do.
It looks like a lightning mouse.
It is a lightning mouse. Electric mouse. Yeah, that would have been more appropriate. So each of these guys, we have like HP. Each of us has HP, right? And each of us have like items. So you might have like a sword here, right? And that sword has like damage. And you might have like a potato here. This is you, Joey. This is you, Michael. And then John, you're here. Christian, you're over here. You're playing a different Skyrim. You're playing Skyrim too, so same with me. So you have a sword and potato, Joey, and you have like, I don't know, you don't have any, you have a dagger. Whatever it is. You guys get the point that I'm making, right? Each one of you guys has your own idea of what you have. But then above all that, we're all playing in the same world here. What is the world of Skyrim? It's just Skyrim? Yeah. Okay. And then Skyrim has like variables like time of day. Other things are like, what else is there? Weather? Sure. Let's just pick those. So we have to pick, since we're going to be making a hot dog vending machine and gold, we have to pick where our gold is going to live. Does it live like here in the world? Or does it live here per player?
It lives in the world. We all share it.
We can make it shared, sure. If we want to put it here, let's do that first because that's a little bit more straightforward. We'll just have a shared gold, which is some games do that.
I just meant that like the source of the gold.
Not the source, it's how much gold we currently have. Each.
Oh, well that's what the individual.
Yeah, because each of us has our own hot dogs we want to buy from this Japanese vending machine that we imported into Skyrim. And so yeah, maybe you have 300 gold, Joey, and maybe you have 150, and maybe John has like 4,000.
Oh, well, I don't have any items, so I just been saving my money.
Yeah. So what we'll do then is we'll put a variable on the character because that's where all that data lives. Like I just drew here in my awesome drawing. Each one of us has the concept of gold. So what we'll do here is we'll just make a variable for gold. Okay? And that'll be what? Probably an int. We can't have fractional gold in our game, let's just say. And we'll all start off with 100 gold. Okay? And can you guys follow along with this too? Yes. Because we'll
So that is the player's
this is just a player's blueprint. Yeah, just double click on my character in your project. In the blueprints folder?
Yeah.
It should just be my character. Just find my character.
There's a lot of stuff in the folder.
Oh yeah, from all the stuff that you made. You probably.
Stick input, movement input, jump, spawn projectile.
Oh, you mean in the blueprint here? All this?
Yeah.
That's all for moving the character. Don't worry, we won't really be touching any of that stuff yet. I'm going to show you guys how to. This is basically making a third-person movement system. This allows you, like gamepad input, this allows you, this takes your left and right and turns you. This one makes you use the mouse to move, look up and down.
Oh, mine's still different.
Are you using a first-person template?
Yeah.
Yeah, then yours is going to look different from mine.
Okay.
Mine is a third person.
That's
Just,
fine.
it's fine. Just make a gold variable. And give yourself any number of starting gold that you want.
Shit, now I just do that. I don't know what I did. It's weird. Okay.
And let's first just make a key that gives us 100 gold and then prints out that gold to the screen. Okay, so add 100 gold and then print it out to the screen. So make the F key give you 100 gold and then print it out to the screen. So just like what you guys just did earlier. So add 100 to this. And if you're not sure how to do that, it's just like this. And then you print it out to the screen.
So we're just printing 100 gold?
No, give yourself 100 gold, additional gold, and then print out the value of gold to the screen. It's just like exactly what you just did already. Except instead of adding 1, you're adding 100. We're just using it as a test first before we make the pickup. So we're going to make the vending machine first.
I don't know what I did.
What happened?
The you go into blueprints and then you do new class blueprint.
No, you don't do new. You just edit the my character. Yeah. There should be one already called my character.
So plus 100 or times 2?
Well, I think adding 100 is fine for now. You can double your gold if you want. Whatever you want. It's your choice. It's your game. Yeah, if you double click on the my character, do you show this? You should see like all this crazy stuff here. See that, Christian?
Yeah. Alright, cool.
All right, all you have to do is make a variable for gold. Make an integer.
Mine is.
Here, take a look.
I think it should be playing off of this, right? Because I think that mine might still be playing the variable test and stuff.
Oh yeah, you can delete the variable test from the level, or delete all that stuff. It's up to you. I'll just delete from the level that we don't use on the blueprint first.
So then,
Are you printing that to the screen? This is in the character. We haven't actually wired.
oh, I didn't put it down there either.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you didn't actually wire that there either.
fire what to what?
Well, that's completely disconnected. You need to pass the execution wire over there. And then, yeah, I think you need to delete the math, delete your variable test from the level, because that is consuming your key. So go to your level, and just delete that thing that you placed earlier in the lab.
Oh, in the actual level.
Yeah, just find that thing and place it. You have this up there, right? And just delete it. Okay. Cool.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm rich.
You have adding gold?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a blueprint for a vending machine and start modeling it.
You mean there's
Hey,
no static mesh for
New class?
A new class blueprint for a vending machine, yeah. Because we can have multiple vending machines. One maybe spits out hot dogs, and another one maybe spits out dirty underwear. And yet another one spits out bootleg video games. I don't know.
So you always, when you start a new class, you always, the first component is always the scene.
I always add a scene,
Okay.
just because like I'm always moving stuff around.
And then we're gonna add probably static mesh.
Yeah, just make it look like vending machine like, I guess. I don't know. It's gonna be a little tricky no matter what, but the best you can. So press F. The amount of gold I have is printed up there. Cool. And then we'll just make a vending machine blueprint. I'm just going to spend some time making a vending machine. Vending machine. Anyone need my the variable testing, this part up still? I'll leave it up. I'll leave it up on the right in case anyone needs it, and then I'll work here on the left. So I'm going to make my vending machine. I think I want my vending machine just to have static mesh. Oh, it's going to be like Japanese vending machine, so it'll be a capsule. Cool. Stick material on it.
How'd you make the materials?
I just scroll down. There's a rendering section with materials in it.
But how do you actually select the material?
Just there's a drop-down box. If there isn't one, just add an element here.
Well, it's giving me the little tile, but it's not giving me anything to choose from.
The drop-down box should have there's you have to make your window bigger.
Oh. Yeah. Mine's gonna be a bush.
I mean, you guys should consider modeling one too, since you can. I don't really have. I should have prepared one ahead of time. I did not.
Is it on my character guy?
I'm making a new blueprint for the vending machine. So I made a new class blueprint for that guy. Close this down. Okay, there's my vending machine. I just have a couple static meshes and then a text renderer component. What you also want to do is we'll set it up so that you have to walk up to it, and then once you walk up to it, you can press a key, and then it'll eject out a hot dog every time you press a key. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to add a trigger for where you can stand. This is going to represent where you have to stand in front of the vending machine to actually get it to give you a hot dog. Okay, so that seems pretty good. I'll place this guy in the level. Here's my hot dog vending machine. I can have it spit it out on the top once that happens. So I want to walk up to it and press a key, and then I want to have it spit out a hot dog at me aggressively. So we can have a trigger here that detects that the player is inside. And let's just do the hot dog spawning mechanic. Let's forget about gold for a minute, and let's just have this thing eject hot dogs at us. And we're going to use physics for those. So I'm going to go to my graph here. I'm going to rename this box to be a trigger. Make sure I'm recording this. Okay. So I have my trigger, and we're just going to make some overlap events. And just like what we did for the homework, we're going to get the player controller. And we're going to enable input on him. And then when we leave, we're going to disable input on him. This is exactly what we just did in for the doors, or for the interactive lights. Exactly the same thing. We just want to enable input so that we can have it listen for the key. And I'm going to have the buy key be like E. So go ahead and set up a trigger that enables and disables input when you interact it. You could probably take this from one of your other blueprints and just copy paste it if you have one ready. And then we just need this thing to spit out a hot dog. So before I get to making the hot dog, let me go around and make sure everyone is there. Once you have your vending machine and you have this set up, we're going to make a blueprint for a hot dog. You have your trigger set up for this guy? Cool, yeah, I think you do this stuff. So yeah, trigger, begin overlap, and you will input. How's your vending machine going?
I just got the vending machine made,
Cool.
and I put it in the level just now.
Nice.
And now I need to do.
Yeah, so click on the trigger. You need to do this stuff up here. So click on the trigger and then do the overlap events, which will then enable and disable input. And then when you're done with that, you can make a hot dog blueprint. And we'll make the hot dog blueprint. You're making your vending machine now? Cool. You want to add a trigger to this guy? No, just you are new or not. It's just I want to do this ahead so I can come around and help people. So go back to your components and let's add a trigger. Or a box. I'm sorry for forcing you to make a vending machine without the decimal programs. No. So what you do is for the okay, so yeah, so click on the box in your components, yep, and then now that you have the box selected, you can right click, don't be in the construction script, you don't need that for that. You can right click, and you can do overlap. So it's very top. You want begin and you want to end, you want both.
Where do you get the enable input?
So I added, did you see the get player controller in the middle?
Yeah.
So right click and add that first, and then drag a wire from that and go find it there.
Okay.
Why did they do that? Hide certain things.
It's not that it's hidden, it's just the context sensitive nature is broken. So yeah, it's not active on overlap, it's component. Yeah. And you have to have the box selected to have it show up properly. Cool. So yeah, now enable input on the player controller. So you can actually drag a wire backwards from the player controller and just into empty space. And type get player controller. Yeah. Standard. Yes. I'll pick that up.
Hook those up with the execution wire with the white wires. The white wires are hooked up, yeah, the execution wire. So let's make a hot dog now. Yeah.
If I have something set up like this, and then I use the F key, which I also have set up to add gold, would it run both of them?
Well, it depends. Your F key has options to consume it or not, so click on that guy, and then see here how it says consume input. If that's true, it will only do one.
Okay. So which would get priority in that sense? The character or?
Depends on it. It's you have no. It's non-deterministic. It doesn't. You don't know which one will happen first. It might be whatever was placed first. It might not be. It depends. But if you want it to do both things, and you want it to not consume input. Okay. That's why I have it on a second key anyway, just so I avoid any of those problems.
Right.
Let's make a hot dog.
Well, like say you would have like an interact key,
Mhm.
like Skyrim has that.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
You would pick up with the same, but
Mhm.
you would also like move in the world with the same key.
Yeah.
You want certain priorities to override each other.
If I were to do it that way, then I would probably handle the interactions from the player. The player would actually tell the vending machine when the player presses F that he wants to interact with a vending machine. Right now, the vending machine is listening for players and then saying, cool. Now the vending machine is listening for the F key. But in Skyrim, it's when the player presses the F key, he sends everyone a message saying, hey, dude, I'm pressing F right now. Anyone that's interested, go ahead and tell me if you are. So the player handles a priority inside. So if there was like a sword on top of another sword, on top of a vending machine, on top of an NPC, the player could decide which one of those is the most important, as opposed to the NPCs and the weapons deciding what's most important and fighting over one another. So I would move that logic to be in the player instead. But we're going to do it here in the vending machine for simplicity. It's because we haven't gotten to really big communication between things yet. So I'm going to make a new blueprint for a hot dog. This is going to be the bun. Yeah, the bun. That's the root. We just need to make this thing a blueprint so we can enable physics on it. It doesn't actually have any behavior associated with it. So I'm going to make, what is this thing? We can do better.
I'm just using a capsule for a bun. And then put another capsule down the middle of it.
There's my bun. Yeah, it's pretty bunny, I think. Buns, and then the dog. And then a capsule can be my dog. Remember last week when we went over physics objects, you want to parent the dog to the bun and then enable physics on the bun. I have no idea how big this thing is, but it's going to be awesome. That's the only thing I know. Let's give it a bun-like consistency. That does not look like a dog. That is not a hot dog. That is inappropriate. I really want to make a some of these things. If they were material instances, we could actually change the color of them. But as it stands, c'est la vie, cannot. Still doesn't look like a bun to me.
Looks like something comes out of buns.
I don't think I can pick any brown colored material that would look appropriate here. So we're going to make it not brown. I'm going to do that for the bun, yeah. So I should show you guys how to make a material with an actual just flat color. Should I take like 5 minutes? Let me just take 5 minutes to like do that. We're just, cause like I'm kind of struggling here with just making something simple. I'm just going to go through this real fast. Don't follow along with me if you can't. This is going to be a basic flat color material. And all flat color is going to do is we're just going to plug in a texture. vector param. Here, color, and that's just going to plug in directly into base color. So now I can change this guy here. Okay, so now that this thing is a param, what I can do is I can make a material instance out of this, which will make this a flat color MI, or MI flat color. The reason I want this is that now I can change the properties of this thing in the base property. I need to compile everything. Save. Apply. There's my color over here. So now what I can do is, if I change the color here, I can tweak the values in my hotdog script. So I'm going to pick my material instance here. There's my hotdog. What I can do though is I can change the color. I'm going to assign them both to be that. And I can make one that is the bun. I haven't showed you guys construction scripts yet, but I'm going to make one look bunny. Sure. Okay. This guy, he can look more dog-like. Sure. Okay. Cool. That's our hot dog. And then physics are already enabled here, so I can test that by clicking simulate, as long as it looks like it's falling. Cool. And I can place one of these guys in the level. That is a giant, giant hot dog. I might want to scale the whole thing down. Cool. It behaves kind of like a hot dog or a Twinkie, one of the two. I'm going to shrink the whole thing down a little bit. So I'm going to just scale it down to like a quarter of what it is. That's good. It's not so obscene. Still a giant hot dog, but it's good. So let's have this thing spit out the top of our vending machine, or the front, wherever you want, and then we will have it do that when we interact with it. So in my vending machine, I'm going to go back to my vending machine. I'm going to pick a spot where I want these things to eject from, and I'm going to add a new scene.
Do you simulate physics? Is that what
Yeah, if you want to test it, go to your hot dog and just click simulation up top left. And yeah, the simulate physics is a checkbox. Only set it on the parent though. Don't set it on both. But parent the dog to the button. I'm going to set up a bun ejection port, or hot dog ejection port. Go back to your vending machine and add a new scene for a hot dog ejection port. And here's a trick. If you want to ever orient something in Blueprint and you're not sure which way it's facing, just add an arrow. If you just add an arrow and parent it to whatever you care about the orientation for, you'll get this thing that's facing in the way that it's going. And then that way I can move my hot dog ejection port around, like so, and it'll show me what the orientation is of that thing. Okay, I just want this thing to spit out that way. So that's the direction that my hot dogs I want to have travel. So I have a scene, and I have an arrow attached to that scene. And that's my hot dog ejection port. Okay. Then finally, go back to here, my vending machine, where I have the E hooked up. And what I can do is I can do a spawn actor from class. And the class, I just type hot dog. There's my hot dog. And then spawn transform is going to be the hotdog ejection port. I'm going to grab that guy and put him into the level. And then I'm going to get his world transform. Now, we definitely want to shoot him out as opposed to spitting him out. But now, if I get here, I walk up to this guy. Make sure I have this thing hooked up correctly. Make sure I have my trigger set up. I don't think my hot dog ejection machine is quite large enough. Scale it up a little bit. Oh, I have, yeah. So this is another problem you may run into. I already have my variable test blueprint in here, which is consuming all my input. So I'm gonna delete my old. Where is that guy? Maybe I don't have him in here. Make sure I have this. Oh, right. So hang on. I showed you guys the wrong thing first, which was I told you to enable input, but when you do that, it puts it into the target. Make sure this thing's plugging into the player controller, not the target. That's gonna cause you problems. Now, when I press E, so those things are spitting out. They aren't really launching out though. They're kind of like limply flying. So let's just adjust a few things. One, we want this ejection port to not be inside the. We want it to not be inside the blueprint. So I'm going to just put it on top there. So first of all, it'll always come on top. Yeah, what's up, Joe?
What is that arrow?
That arrow is just an arrow component. It's literally just something that lets me view the orientation for this thing.
Okay, so this is just the arrow.
It's just an arrow. That's what we call it. You can go to Costco and get one. Yeah, so I have this thing. It's spitting out hot dogs, but it's not really shooting them out. I really want them to just like fly out. And in order to do that, not only do I want to spawn them, what's up, dude? But I want to take what's spawned and I want to set the physics linear velocity of the bun. And I can do that by just grabbing the return value from here and typing set velocity. And what I can do is set the physics linear velocity of the bun. And now I can take the guy and I can crank his velocity up so he goes flying a lot further. So this velocity is going to be based off the hot dog ejection port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my hot dog ejection port, put it in the level, get his forward vector. That's going to be where he's currently facing. I'm just going to crank that guy up by, I'm going to multiply him by some ridiculous value, like 10,000. And I'm going to plug that into here. Those are newtons of force, I believe. Okay, I think they're flying. You can see the shadows of the hot dogs. I can't quite see. There they go. Okay, that might be a little fast. You're never gonna get a hot dog that way. Well, if I'm determined, I could probably get it. Depends on how much I want it.
If you jumped up and deflected them, they might impale you.
One thing to note is that I'm just going to, the hot dogs themselves are colliding with the trigger here. So the problem is that it's causing me to not be able to get more hot dogs. Every time a hot dog spawns, I have to walk back in. It's launching them like outside of the world too. That's so sad. Let's just get it like 500. I think that's probably sufficient. There we go. That's what I want to see. Give me one hot dog. Sweet. You like what we're doing here, Chad? Yeah, so we're ejecting a hot dog by spawning him and then setting the physics linear velocity. This is what we're doing for Angry Birds, by the way. by getting the ejection port, getting his forward vector, and then multiplying it by 500. This basically amplifies the facing and gives it a 500 unit force. Cool. But now I wanted to have it actually consume my gold. I have this idea of like I have 800 gold, and I want it so that I can only buy hot dogs cost 500 gold, okay, in our world. And so I want this thing to take away 500 gold, and I don't want it to sell me a hot dog unless I have enough gold, okay? So where does the variable for gold currently live? Where is that variable living? Anyone? The player?
Yeah.
There's my gold. So every time I try to buy a hot dog, it should see if I have enough gold, and if I do, it should subtract 500 from it and then give me a hot dog, okay? So how do I tell if I have enough gold or not? The problem is that gold lives on the player. This is the vending machine. This vending machine needs to know how much gold the player has. So what we can do is when you press the button, why don't we see if they have greater than or equal to 500 gold. And if they do, go ahead and spit it out. So think back to like the key. When we had the key, you couldn't open the door unless you had the key, right? So you can't buy a hot dog unless you have 500 gold. It's the same idea. So right now, every time I press E, it's giving me a hot dog, and it's never taking away gold. I basically have as many hot dogs as I want, as I can stand. But instead, what I want to do is I want to see if I have greater than 500 gold. So I need to first do a branch. A branch is telling me that I will only be allowed to buy a hot dog if I meet this condition, if this condition is equal to true. And currently, the condition is always true. It's checked to true. But we can change this guy. We can see if gold is greater than or equal to 500. So we can say, hey, I can drag a wire backwards from the condition, and I can type the greater than symbol. And I can pick this one here. Integer is greater than or equal to some other integer. So I know that I want to compare against 500, and this guy is supposed to be the gold.
Boom. You're just gonna slap your gold in there.
Yeah. So how do I get the gold? I can't plug in gold here. There's no variable over here for gold, right? So where does gold live?
It lives on the player.
Right. So I can get the player though. I can get character. Get the player character. Right? Because this guy is a player character. Yeah, player, because you can have, this is for split screen, if you have more than one player on the same thing. Like this would be like, oh, player in the lower right corner. This player character has a bunch of variables on him. So here's the part where I need to take where variables live. Hope this doesn't get Okay, there we go. So I have my player character, and that's where the gold lives. But this thing here, this guy actually returns the current player at index 0. But here's where I need to take a little bit of time to explain a little something about Unreal and how the hierarchy works. So Unreal has a notion of like relationships between things. So kind of like how you have like cars. And what is a type of car? Lamborghini, a Lambo.
Chevy would have been faster. Yeah, there you go.
Right? And a car is a type of vehicle. What are other types of vehicles? SUV is a type of car.
Oh, sorry.
Aircraft.
Plane.
Oh.
What is it? Isn't that type of plane a G6? A G6? It's the plane that all the rappers fly in. And then boat. You don't know about the G6? Yeah, G6? That's
Sure.
like
I know that.
this guy right here. The thing you can steal in Grand Theft Auto.
$65 million.
Yeah, it costs like crazy. That's G6. That's like the private commercial plane that it's like all the rich people fly in. Boat, I don't know. Tug.
I gotta get a G6.
Yeah.
So this is the relationship here. So let's make the same relationship in Unreal. So I'm going to keep this, so I keep that image in mind, right? So in Unreal, actor is the base. Okay? And an actor can be a character, but it also can be like a light. Yeah, a mesh is a great example, right? But then a type of character is my character. The blueprint that we just edited is called my character, right? So here, look at this relationship here. And on the left, this guy's called my character. And see in the top right here, right where my mouse cursor is, the parent class is character. Okay? So the relationship is that my character is a type of character. Okay? That's what this is where the gold lives. That's where the gold is currently living, right here. That's where our gold is. That's what we want to get. But the vending machine, this thing, gives us this guy instead. The gold doesn't live here. Okay? The gold lives here. And it's giving me back one of these guys. It's giving me back a car when I want a Lamborghini. Right? So it's giving me a car, but I know that the car that I drive, that I drove in the parking lot today, is a Lambo. So I can just, it's not really a Lambo. I was excited for me too. I like to live that fantasy for a couple minutes and then it'll never happen. I want to get the gold because the gold lives on my character, not the regular character. Okay, there's a difference. This guy's returning the regular character. This guy doesn't have any idea of what gold is. Okay? So how do I convert this into my character? You have to do a cast. You do a cast to my character, and bam, now it's the Lambo. Now it's turned into. If you ask me what I did, what I drove in today, I'll say I drove in a car. If you ask me to be more specific, I'll say I drove in my Lambo. This is giving me the car. This is telling me more specifically that it's the Lambo. Okay. So now what I can do is this guy I can get the gold from. And one more step. If I want to get the gold off some guy, Unreal just changes in 4.6. They didn't do this in 4.5, so depending on the version that you have, you might not need to do this step. But if you are on 4.6, you have to go to My Character. You have to click this little eyeball here, which will let other blueprints modify and inspect the gold variable here. So click this little guy right here. Okay, and then compile. And then finally, I go back to here. And if I drag a wire from him and I type gold, I can get my gold and set my gold. And bam, that's my gold that I currently have. And I can plug this in here. And this guy needs to be hooked up with an execution wire as well. Like that. So now what it'll do is that it will not spit out a hot dog unless I have more than 500 gold. I have 200 gold right now. I'm going to hit E, and let's just keep this in view here. So I'm hitting E, so see the wire, and see how it's not doing anything? What we can do is put a condition here. I'll say not enough money for delicious hot dogs. Keep this in view here on the lower right. So I'm going to walk up to my vending machine, hit E. So I don't have 500 gold. I have 200 gold. I still don't have enough. I'm going to crank up to where I have 500 gold, and now I'm spitting out hot dogs. Okay. And finally, what I want to do is I want to consume that gold. I want to spend that gold that I have on my character. So just like what I just did here, if I do, I'm going to get rid of this text here. Well, I'm going to just move it out of the way. I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. Right before I spawn the hot dog, in between these two steps, I'm going to steal 500 gold from the player. So I'm going to go here, and actually I'm going to drag a wire from here. I'm going to drag a blue wire from here, from the character. I'm going to do set gold. This is exactly what we just did with the arithmetic operations. And I need to subtract 500 from the gold. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to drag another wire from here, do get gold. It's getting a little cramped in here. Just like what we did before, I'm going to subtract 500 from the gold and plug it into here. And that's it. So I walk up this thing. I don't have enough money for delicious hot dogs. I have 500 gold. I get 1 hot dog. I press F to give myself 100 gold, and I'm back to 100. If I have enough for, I should have enough for 3 hot dogs now. 1, 2, 3, and then not enough money afterwards. Okay. All right. We're going to do more of this next week when we do the Angry Birds. But that's an example of really simple arithmetic that you can use to control consuming